Hey everybody, Kim here with Little Biz Resources, and today I want to talk about protecting our social media accounts. And this is for anybody, whether you're an individual, whether it's your own home-based business, you're a big business, you're a celebrity, an influencer, and pretty much anybody. Now, I'm going to talk about it from the perspective of here's what happened when I followed Jeremy Renner, and that's kind of what inspired this entire discussion is because something happened to me. So I was heading to bed and wrapping up my to-do list, and I decided to hop on over to Instagram and follow Jeremy Renner. And I know the pressing question is, why on earth would you do that? And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So I went and brushed my teeth and all that good stuff that goes along with getting ready for bed. But when I was hopping back into bed, I grabbed my phone to plug it in and check the alarm, and I saw a notification from Instagram. And you can see up at the notification here where it says Jeremy 2616 Renner started following you. Now, I'm going to be honest. If it was really Jeremy Renner following me, I would have been ecstatic. But sadly, I know some of you are going, why would you even think that? I didn't. As soon as I saw it, I knew it was fake. But, there are some indicators for those who are not familiar with fake accounts because Jeremy Renner is a big name. It's easy to say, okay, this is a fake account because there's no picture, there's random numbers in there, or they might not be random, whatever, but there's numbers in there. And then the fact that it was late at night were all good tips. It wasn't Jeremy Renner, though, again, I'd be very honored to have him follow me. Still, most people don't necessarily pay attention, and this account was different from normal spammers and fake accounts, and here's why. One, it's a private account, which means I can't actually see the profile unless I follow them back. So it could literally be Jeremy Renner, and I am just being a total brat and calling him out for this, but I don't think it is. I really don't. He has his own legitimate account, right? I'll show you how I know that. But he could theoretically have another account that's personal or something. I don't think he does, though. I mean, where does he have time, right? So I am not a personal account. So how it looks for me and how it looks for you if you have a personal account is different. And the person following me, it could be a strategy to help make their account look legitimate. Right? I mean, you'll see my account barely looks legitimate, and that's because I hardly ever use it. But, they may be just going, okay, you know what? This is not a person. This is a page. So I'm going to follow them because they're following a big celebrity. They're not going to pay attention, blah, blah, blah. Right? I don't know. It could be a strategy. Now, another thing is nothing else happened. So a big red flag is when, you follow Jeremy Renner and then all of a sudden you get a message from a Jeremy Renner account that's not the one you followed. And they're saying, hey, I saw you follow my account. Make sure you click here or something, right? So that would be an obvious, this is a spammer. And I had no message, nothing other than they followed me. So, some people question what's the purpose of the account. My personal opinion is this person is a spammer or a fake account of some sort. And they've already attempted to do something one way and got caught. And so now they're trying another way to see if they can get around it. I still do not know why. I mean, yeah, anyway. I wanted to also point out at this point that the age to use Instagram is 13. Okay, so I am a 40-something, that's as much as I'm giving, 40-something, I hold a PhD. So if you're like, hey, I would never be able to spot a fake account, I don't blame you, right? I mean, I also have one of my degrees is in criminal justice. So it's not like I'm not really experienced at this, and I still don't catch them all. Right? I still can't see them all go, yeah, it's a fake account because I'm not looking for it. That's not my world. That's not your world, right? You're not out there trying to spot fake accounts, and you shouldn't be, but you still want to be aware of them. So just be cognizant whether you have followers or, you have kids that are on there, that fake accounts are a real thing. So why is this risky for you, as an influencer, as a celebrity, whatever? So let's look at you. If you're a follower, you really need to make sure you pay attention to who follows you and messages you. And yes, you can have settings that do private. We'll talk about that. And then don't fall for celebrity accounts that message you. Jeremy Renner is likely never going to message me, though. Jeremy Renner, if you hear this, you are welcome to message me. Okay. I'm pretty sure everybody says that, by the way. But if you are a business account, so like let's say that you have a business Instagram, Facebook is even better. If you have a business Facebook account and post publicly, people can use that information and clone accounts, okay? And that's if you post publicly as a private person. Holy cow, say that 5 times fast. Now, Meta, which is Facebook's new name, I think, and Instagram, that whole entity, right? That's their new name. They've had this problem for years with Facebook, right? The hack accounts, they can hack accounts, especially through Instagram. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this because this is important for everybody who has both Facebook and Instagram. Now they can pretend to be you and scam others. So I know I've seen this happen, and I saw an article not long ago, but I couldn't find it. And it was somebody who had paid out money because they thought their grandkids' Instagram or whatever had messaged them and said, I'm stuck in such and such a place and I need you to send me money. Here's the information. They did it. Right. And so I don't think the account may have been hacked, but I think what happened was they created a completely fake account, contacted the person because they saw that they were following the other one. And so there's a lot of different criminal options here, right? I am not a criminal mastermind, so I cannot go through all of them. You just have to be aware that there are some criminal masterminds out there that do these things. So now if you're an influencer or a celebrity, and by influencer, I don't mean you have to be Jeremy Renner. I mean, you can be somebody who's just has enough followers that if you put something out there, they will take action, right? If you have a couple hundred followers, you're pretty much an influencer of some sort, especially if they're active and not fake followers, right? Then you have a way of interacting and sending a message to people. And so influencer can be a broad range, right? It can be from small to big. And really you need to think about this for brand protection, right? If the fake Jeremy Renner account had contacted me and I don't want to say stupid because that's not right. If I was asleep and half asleep and was like, oh, hey, Jeremy, how's it going? How's renovations going down the street from here? And, I mean, honestly, it wouldn't take much to fool people. And so it's in your best interest if you are an influencer or a celebrity or a brand or anything that you protect your account for brand protection. And of course that follows along with money, right? I mean, you're going to protect your followers that love you, gives your social media manager something to do as well. All right. Accounts will get shut down from other account activity. I haven't seen this as much lately, but I also haven't been listening to the complaints as much lately. And I've left a couple of the groups where this got reported regularly. But if you have a legitimate account and somebody were to clone that account and do things that are bad in your name or your brand name, your business name, then Meta, Google, anybody can go look. Anything associated with that is now considered spammy, and we're shutting down all accounts. Okay, this has happened usually with a brand of something where they're like, hey, anybody who is promoting this brand or has this brand or whatever, they're going to get in trouble, essentially. Again, I haven't seen this happen in mass lately, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen. And it definitely happens on an individual level, one-on-one. We hear about this occasionally, right? And most people who have this happen don't get to be heard. So if you think about those numbers, it's probably a lot higher than anything that we know of. So if someone else does something in your name, your account could be at risk. To avoid shutdowns, customer complaints, issues with your business, your brand, you need to make sure people are only following your valid account. Okay, your valid account. So that means no other fake accounts. All right, so here's an example problem for influencers and celebrities. Now, Jeremy Renner did not do this I don't think that I know of, but I know there are other celebrities that do this. And they use the messaging platform, right? So you can automate this with Instagram or with Facebook. And you basically say, as an influencer, you would get on some platform and say, hey, if you want to be entered into a drawing, or hey, we're selling this, and if you want to get a discount, go here. And you say, go to Instagram or Facebook and comment on this post, right? And then they have automation that will automatically reply to that. Okay, now automation isn't restricted to just influencers and celebrities, right? I can do it. In fact, this is an excellent automation strategy, and it's one that I plan to teach later this year. But if someone else has created a similar account, maybe they copy your account, they post the same stuff, and somebody goes, you're on TV saying, hey, go to my Instagram account, and somebody goes and types in Jeremy Renner, and for whatever reason, somebody else pops up that looks the same, which we'll talk about later how to tell the difference. But if it looks the same and they go, oh, hey, yeah, I'm gonna comment on that, and then the person has the automation set up to whatever they want, right? It's not hard for scammers to do. And if you're paying attention, it's easy to avoid them. But clearly this keeps going on because not everybody's paying attention. I mean, it's social media. You're not supposed to have to use a lot of brain power for this, right? So this is where scammers and spammers and just non-legitimate people, they can take advantage of these types of things, and they can get data from people. They can direct them to scams. They can do a lot of different things. So, of course, I know that you guys have been asking and say, why on earth would you, Kim, as an entrepreneur, follow Jeremy Renner on social media? I mean, you're an entrepreneur. Okay, first of all, it's freaking Jeremy Renner. I mean, he's Hawkeye. And for the record, Hawkeye has been my favorite Avenger since long before Jeremy Renner played the role. So why wouldn't I follow him? Now, I recently moved back to Sparks, Nevada, and found out that he actually lives in the area. And that is not why I followed him. That's just one of the points to get to the next point. So he's working on something called Renovations. That's a new project he's doing with Disney. And he's bringing attention to the Audi District and the new nonprofit, The Generator, which is a makerspace. And so this is kind of near and dear to my heart. I used to actually work at the building next to where he's doing this. So he's doing renovations in the Generator, which is part of what the old Lowe's was in Sparks. Now Lowe's has since moved and the building's now been converted to other stuff. But next door was Montgomery Ward's, and I used to work there. So that area, in fact, I think we had an apartment like right across the street at one point. So that area was like, kind of near and dear to my heart for a while. And it's always been kind of a shady area. And so part of what they're trying to do is trying to, spruce up the area and stuff. So I was really excited that he was working on that and doing that. And when I found out about that, I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to follow him. However, not everybody has like solid reasoning behind following celebrities. I mean, they're celebrities, right? People may follow you just to follow you. They find something interesting. They may not have a specific reason. So a lot of people that follow celebrities, they can then fall victim to scams because they're just not that savvy. Now, I'm sure you're watching this and you're like, I'm super savvy. But remember, I already said this, but 13, okay? 13 is the age that you can have an Instagram account. And I believe all the social media channels pretty much put the age at 13. So let's look at some tips to help protect your accounts. Do not share accounts. That is tip number 1. Don't share accounts. Now, this is different from what we've talked about, like not we as in me and you guys, because I've always said don't share accounts. But when social media first came out, a lot of husband and wives would get together, and there's still plenty of accounts that are like this. And I guess that's fine if that's something you want to do. That's technically against their terms of service usually, but it's just kind of dependent on what you want to do. But social media accounts are for individuals. There's one person that is supposed to be responsible for it. The name on your account and the information is supposed to match you so that you can prove it. If you can't prove it and you can't justify, I put Kim instead of Kimberly, yeah, that's going to be easy to justify. But if I put something like Sally on there, there is nowhere I can say that Sally is me. And so if I ever get locked out of my account, I can never prove it and I will lose that account forever. So because social media accounts are for individuals. Now, if you want to create business assets, which we do regularly, and I even have videos on this on various ones, but like Facebook pages or YouTube channels or Instagram accounts or whatever, they're all linked to a specific person. Okay. So, for example, Little Biz Resources Facebook page is under my personal account. And while the page itself can be banned and everything else, it's not going to get stolen by anybody because it's attached to my account. And I've done extra steps, which we'll talk about. But and I should say this is especially true for Facebook and Instagram because YouTube connects to a Google or Gmail account, which should have one person responsible for the account. And I know that there are plenty of ways that you can like manipulate this and everything else. But when you sign up for a Gmail or for a Google account, they ask you for first and last name that should be matching your legal documents. So it's just one of those things where you need to be cautious on, when you're signing up on these, and definitely not share accounts. Okay, so this is just something you have to consider. Now, for business purposes, you can assign individuals access levels. So, for example, if you have a Facebook page, you can assign somebody to help manage the page, right? They have their own Facebook login, and you assign them the page, and they have to accept that as well. Right? So there's different levels that you can do where you can have people help manage your accounts. So you do not need to share the main login, so your login, but instead you assign those employees or others as necessary to specific roles. And typically this is not an admin role. If you put an admin role, they can steal your account. Now, I don't want you to freak out about that because most of you who do this, you're going to be, adding your spouse on. And if you add them as an admin, it's not the end of the world because they're not going to steal your account usually. All right, tip number 2, turn on two-factor authentication. Now, this sounds way scarier than it is, right? I have so many people that go, well, I've heard about two-factor authentication, but it just sounds so complicated. Like the word authentication, right? Or is it two-factor? But this is critical, especially for Instagram. I cannot tell you the number of people that I know who have had their Facebook and Instagram accounts stolen, and they were hacked through Instagram. Now, for those who don't know, while Meta currently owns both Facebook and Instagram, and prior to that, Facebook owned Instagram, Instagram was its own entity. It's built on a different technology. So Facebook's technology and Instagram's technology are not the same. So when they bought Instagram, they didn't mesh all the way, right? And so they have to play catch up and, change things. And for whatever reason, Instagram has an easier access to hack through Instagram than it is through Facebook now. And so it's really important that you make sure that people can't hack your Instagram account, because they can then steal your Facebook account, right? And so this is something a lot of people don't think of. They create an Instagram account and then they never put two-factor authentication on anything. And then they're like, well, I don't understand how they got in. It doesn't matter. Instagram has a weakness. They know about it. That's why they tell you to turn this on. Right now, two-factor authentication, for those who don't know, is when you receive like a text message or a notification sent to a validated phone number or an email. So one that you've already added and has been authenticated through whatever entity. And really, how you do this depends on the settings and your account, like where you are. I mean, literally where you are could be city versus rural versus state versus country. I don't know. There's no map that says what is or isn't available. So you may not be able to have a text messaging option. Instead, they only let you have push notifications, right? So it's just, you're going to have to get in there, turn it on, and see what it walks you through. But sometimes you can use a third-party app like Authenticator to, like an Authenticator. There's several of them. I use Google's Authenticator. It's pretty good. So if that's an option, I do recommend it. And then they also have like codes that you can download and everything. So just walk through the steps. It's so easy. Sounds scary, super easy. Right now, this is in the privacy and settings sections. So you can do this tip number 2 at the same time you work on tip number 3, which is check your privacy settings on both personal and business accounts. Okay, so if you don't have a business account, still do it. If you're like, oh, hey, I only have my personal Facebook and everything else is business, still do it. Right? Both Facebook and Instagram have privacy settings, as does YouTube and pretty much all social media. So check your settings. Now I pulled up Facebook's here, right? So you can see this is my personal Facebook settings. You can see, and let's see if I have my right here. You can walk through, check your important security settings, right? So you can view that. You can check here and see if there's been any weird activity. I'm in Sparks. This is my phone. Oh, that is important. Oh, I don't see any weird devices attached to it. It's all my normal stuff. And yes, you can click see more, and the rest of them are all on my phone again, like several hours earlier. So this is the login if you want to change your password. And then this is if you're like, save your login info. I save my login info, but you don't have to. You can turn it off, right? You can say, nope, I don't want it saved so nobody else can accidentally get my password. Or if, hey, I'm going to log in on this computer, I don't want it to auto save on accident, right? You can turn that off. Here is two-factor authentication right here. On. We'll ask for a login code if we notice an attempted login from an unrecognized device or browser. And then authorized logins. I actually need to do this because I have some devices that don't work anymore that are attached to this. And then of course there's more. You just go through. Look at here. You got get alerts about unrecognized logins. Choose 3 to 5 friends to contact if you get locked out. Right? These are all things that didn't exist before. So if you haven't touched your settings in a while, go through them again. And even if you have, go through them again. Because things have changed, like even recently things have changed, right? I mean, maybe within the last year or so, they changed how posts work, right? So Facebook pages, and I didn't put a picture up here, but you need to check who can post on your page. If you're not familiar with this, when you first set up a page, the default is anybody can post on your page. So just go through, make sure that your settings are what you want them to be. Now we're going to continue on this a little bit. You also want to link your Facebook and Instagram accounts. Now, if you're brand new to Instagram, they make you have a Facebook page. I'm pretty sure. I just did one and it made me just automatically link it. So, and again, this has changed a lot, and it may change and it may be different for different people because it's all, integrating systems here, and they don't always integrate well. So if you're creating an Instagram account, it typically automatically links to Facebook. Like I said, I just created one today, and it was automatically linked to my Facebook account. But if you have older accounts, because keep in mind, Instagram and Facebook used to be separate entities. So if you have older accounts, you may need to manually figure out how to attach these. Okay. And this is important because you don't want somebody to be able to get in to either one of them and take them. So if they're linked and you have your two-factor authentication on, you're protecting yourself. Okay. Now, a note about business accounts. You're going to need to make sure to connect the right pages. So business Instagram account to Facebook page. Okay, you have to do this, and it's not hard. It's just tedious. So I put you're going to go to privacy and security right here on Instagram after you get to settings, right? You just go to the privacy and security section, and you'll be able to walk through all the settings there that you need. And I actually recommend walking through all settings on all of these to make sure it's what you want. But at least go through privacy and security so that you're protected. All right, tip number 4, don't share personal stuff publicly. I mean, that seems like kind of obvious, but if you share a ton of public stuff, especially if it's personal, people can take that stuff and duplicate your account. I mean, that's the easy way of doing it, right? This is more likely to occur with a normal person, so like me or probably people watching this, than a celebrity, because it's easier for scammers to do. It is much easier for whoever, John Smith in wherever, to dupe grandma by creating a fake account and sending the message through Instagram and saying, hey, I'm stuck in Canada, just got access to this. I'm in prison and borrowed this phone. I need you to send me X amount of dollars. Please don't tell mom. I don't want to get in trouble. Whatever it was, that is so much easier to do with an individual than it is for a celebrity. I don't know anything about Jeremy Renner, and he does a really good job at keeping his personal life personal. Good job, Jeremy Renner. But people are ambitious, so no one is immune from getting targeted. So even Jeremy Renner has to make sure that he protects his personal information and his accounts. All right. So as a note here, though, Facebook has been known to have entire accounts cloned. I mean, entire accounts, including information that's not public. And honestly, I have no idea how they're doing it most of the time. I personally feel like this was a glitch on Facebook's side because it seems completely unlikely that somebody can get access to your entire account without your, without some sort of like trail, right? I mean, because if they're getting your information that's from your private side, it doesn't really matter, but they'd have to have a login, and then there'd be a record of a login, and it's just, yeah. So I think it's Facebook. I think most of the time that when somebody goes, oh, I got a message from somebody saying to be my friend and I'm already their friend, that it's a fake account. I don't know if that's true. Sometimes it is, but I think sometimes it's just a glitch. So I'm just going to put that note out there so that if you're like, hey, Kim, how'd this happen? I have no idea. Now, when working with accounts, so this is tip number 5, check that they are official, especially when they're big enough. Bigger accounts like Jeremy Renner with 17 million followers, that's a lot of followers, they should have a blue check mark showing they are the official account for what is represented. So you can see there, see right here, Jeremy Renner with his blue check mark, and you can see Little Biz Resources, which is Kim, see Kim Christian right here, no check mark. Why? Because I have 30 followers. And most of them are probably fake accounts. Not really, but they're probably just people who, I don't know, and they don't necessarily follow me. They're just probably doing a strategy. I don't use Instagram enough to really care right now. I'm never going to get to 17 million followers. So I'm not too worried, but eventually I should make sure I do my little blue check mark, right? It is a pain to do. There's a lot of work and a lot of proof and a lot of time and even expense that goes into it. I think the last time I saw was that it takes a while to go back and forth, and you have to provide the right kind of documentation. And some accounts who are legit still are unable to get the blue check marks. That's simply because of the meta side, which would be, Instagram not doing whatever it is. They get stuck somewhere in the process saying, we don't have this particular form or something. So it can take a while, and it can be time consuming, and it can be costly if you're having someone else do it. So that's why you don't see it on smaller accounts. Most of the time, you're not going to see this blue check mark, though it is popping up more and more. But if you are using Instagram in your legitimate account, you probably should do this and not leave it like mine. So that is on my to-do list one day. But I had to get everything switched to Nevada first, right? Tip number 6, report fake accounts. Unfortunately, reporting is no guarantee that something will happen. And this is kind of hard to do. So I know that Jeremy Renner account there's a really good chance that it is not Jeremy Renner, right? I mean, really good chance. So I would be like, oh, I'm just going to report it. This guy, I mean, he just followed me. So what violation do I have? Oh, this person followed me. I can kick him off of following me anyway. But I don't really have any leg to stand on because I'm not Jeremy Renner, right? So it's hard to report an account as fake if you're not the real person. In fact, this is straight from the Instagram site right here. Only the person who's being impersonated can file a report. And I don't even know if Jeremy Renner has a leg to stand on in this case because the guy hasn't claimed to be Jeremy Renner and just has his name in it and he could be a Jeremy Renner. Who knows? Probably not though. So sorry, Jeremy Renner, you're going to have to report that fakey person. Now, this is just one of the forms here. You're going to need to, if you're like, hey, it's for Facebook or YouTube or even Instagram for that matter, just because I've copied this and I could provide the link. I'm not going to because in 3 months, it's going to change, right? I don't know why they change all the links on these places, but they do. So just search how to report fake account and then social media site, right? How to report fake media account and then whatever it is. So this, in this case, how to report fake account Instagram. And then find in the Instagrams is help.instagram.com. So just look for, this is called a subdomain. When it's help.instagram, you know that Instagram is the main domain, right? So if it was instagram.help.com, I wonder if anybody has help. I'm sure somebody has help.com. I mean, that would be ridiculous not to have that one. But, then you would know that help would be it, and that would be a fake account or a fake website. And those do pop up as well. So it's just one of those things. You just got to do your best. And then ask questions. Hop in the Facebook group and ask questions. If you really, really need help, I can help you. All right, so tip number 7, and this is the last and final one for now. Check your social media accounts regularly. Now, I know we don't all get on social media every day. I mean, my daughter makes me. She makes me look at my memories on Facebook every day. Every night, she's like, oh, wait, we're going to bed. It's time to look at Facebook real quick. And I'm like, you're just delaying going to bed. But it takes 30 seconds and we do it. And I love seeing the pictures of her from back in the day. She's only 9 now. So back in the day, it wasn't that long ago. But when she's 2 or 3, I had one yesterday where it said she was learning the SH word and chose a different word than ship. I was like, okay. That was funny to remember that. So you need to still check your accounts regularly, even if you're not on there every single day, or you need to have a service or a software check it for you. Now, there are plenty of software programs out there that will monitor other social accounts and everything else. There's no one that's better than the other that I've found, and they're all kind of expensive. So it's just cheaper to pop on once a week or something and check your social media accounts. Then delete or otherwise deactivate any pages or accounts you no longer use. Why? Because it makes it harder for anyone, especially these scammers, to find. Though if anybody was going to find it, it would be them. But if it's deleted, nobody's going to find it. And if it's deactivated, it's unlikely they're going to be able to gain access through that particular method. And that goes for everything, right? Your Facebook pages. In fact, I need to go do that. Go clean up all my Facebook pages that I'm not using anymore. And just delete the ones that I don't want or deactivate them. And if I have a couple of extra Instagram accounts, right? Now, they all have 2-factor authentication. So if there's an issue, I should be notified and I should be able to find it. But I'll tell you what, I did not. This is not just for scammers, though. If you have children, especially young ones that think Instagram's so amazing, they can tend to, take over your inactive accounts. So I had an account that I did not use very much, and I actually had to start it on a mobile device, and I couldn't my phone wasn't working, so I used my iPad. Well, my daughter took my iPad and she saw that it was on there, so she turned that account into hers. And because it was on there and such a pain for me to look up, I just stopped checking it, and I didn't really ever get to doing what I was going to do with it. So I'm like, yeah, I probably need to delete that account now. But it is difficult. I do understand, before you delete an account, make sure you're really not going to use it. But if you're not using it and you're not going to use it, just delete it or otherwise deactivate it. That will help prevent any issues. All right, so follow the channel for more business tips. If you feel free to like this video, but I do recommend you follow the channel if you are interested in, growing your business. Or I like to do a lot of things about business continuity. This is a business continuity topic, right? If something happens to your business and it gets shut down on social media, you have continuity issue where your business is not continuing operations. So this is one of those topics that kind of falls into that. And so I have more business tips here on the channel. I post regularly, and I also do a live Q&A each week. So Check the channel banner for details. You'll see the other topics I do. And if you have questions, feel free to pop them into the comment section or hop over to the Facebook group and ask questions. And that's it for today. Thanks.